Good evening. The hour being after 6:45 p.m. It's my high honor and privilege to call the April 28th, 2022 School Committee meeting to order. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everyone on this lovely spring evening. Our second order of business is our annual public hearing on school choice for school year 2022-2023. Dr. Goff.
Yes, school choice must be taken annually as a school committee.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Chair will entertain a motion to open the public hearing now that he has turned the page of his materials regarding school choice for the school year 2022-2023.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ahern, second by Ms. Denizio. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 7-0-0. The hearing is so open. Dr. Goff.
Thank you. So as you know, school choice must be taken annually as the school committee can go on record as to whether or not to become a school choice committee. And so my recommendation is this time is to vote not to become a school choice next year. As you know, we've just emerged from the pandemic. I know I said that last year when we thought it was over, but it wasn't. We're continuing to look at class size, so this is fluid, and as we're entering the FY23 budget season, we're making sure that, we're meeting all the individual educational needs right now, so things aren't predictable. And I don't know if you want to add
And
anything.
for the edification of the committee, determining factors which often contribute to this decision are the availability of seats and space in the school grade that is requested, the class sizes of grade levels of enrollment, the enrollment of students who have not had an adverse impact on the school's budget, and the effect on the student of enrollment, if it is to be at a time other than beginning of the school year, etc., whether it's appropriate for the educational program of the current school resources and for the student exiting the school, provided that the education of students with disability remains the financial responsibility of the city or town of which the student's parents or legal guardian resides. Just for sort of historical perspective, the committee has generally opted not to become a school choice district for the reasons listed above, and it obviously is we do have a few students who go out on school choice to other communities that do have it. I believe that number we conferred with Mary was under 10 this year. With that, would anyone like to speak on the school choice hearing here today? Seeing none, questions, comments from the committee? Mrs. Gallivan.
I would make a motion to not be a school choice district for the 2022-2023 school year.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Gallivan, second by Mr. Breen. Discussion. Seeing none, chair will call the vote. All those in favor? Those opposed? 7-0-0. Chair will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Breen, second by Ms. Gaotitz. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? 7-0-0. Thank you very much. Moving on, our next order of business is our favorite part of the meeting, which is the recognitions. So we have Mr. Dylan Bent, Walpole High School student who led a donation project for shoes. Mr. Bent, would you like to come down to the podium, please? Dr. Goff, would you like to?
Sure. As a runner for the Walpole High School's track and cross-country teams, sophomore Dylan Bent realized that he used his running sneakers could be put to really good use, and so he decided to act by organizing a community-wide shoe drive for its at Soles for Shoes with the numeral 4. Dylan's collected over 1,600 pairs of shoes to donate, and he's posted that the shoe drive has really shown him how fortunate he is to have the things many of us take for granted, like shoes. I'm going to let him see if he has any words so I don't steal too much of your thunder, Dylan, but maybe, talk a little bit about, how'd you get this idea and getting it started and really, how has it impacted you and others, so thank you.
Definitely.
Mr. Bent?
So I run track at the high school, and I noticed how I have to go through so many pairs of shoes as a runner, but those shoes can still be used for daily activities and stuff, and there's so many people in this world that don't have shoes, And I was just like looking for ways I could help like the community and stuff, and I found this organization, Souls for Souls, that you could start your own shoe drive through, and those shoes are put towards like they're given to people, as well as they're also given to like small businesses in other countries, so then they're able to sell those and make a profit off of it. And it's really helped me grow as a person, because I've been able to see how like fortunate I am to have something as simple as a shoe. And I've gotten tons of shoes. I had a box up at the high school, and then my aunt is the director at Norwood's Senior Center, and I had a box there. And then I had a box in my driveway, and I got I was so very grateful for it, because I got so many pairs. And I'm definitely going to do this next year around the same time, because it's been great. And yeah, that's all I have.
Excellent. Questions or comments from Mr. Bent? Mrs. Gallivan?
Yeah, I would just say these are the things that make us really proud, when kids come up with ideas on their own and just, do something good for the world. So congratulations on that. Can you give us a little bit of an idea of what 1,600 shoes looks like?
Yeah, sure. Well, like, I have like outside of my house, I have this we just got like a trash bin, and like it was just like a new one, and we just filled it with pairs of shoes. Like there's people just dropping them off like every day, and it was probably like this tall or so. And then the box at school was like this tall, and it just got like filled and filled every day. And then I had in my basement, I just like put all the shoes next to the wall, and it was just like filled like half my basement. So it was like a ton of shoes. I don't know if that's a good description, but
No,
yeah,
that's
it was
what
a
I was
lot.
thinking, that it was going to be something along those lines,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
Mhm.
So what did you do with them? Like, you had them all. Where
Yeah, well, I had to have a few people help me. I had some of my neighbors help me pack the boxes, and the organization we use, what's it called? Zappos. It's it was
yeah.
it was free shipping.
Nice,
so I've just
because
been,
that's big too.
Yeah, I still have one more box to pack, because I still have a few more shoes. But I've just been going to the FedEx or UPS store, and with I've probably had 20 or probably more, 30 boxes or so. Each trip, tons of
Wow.
boxes. I would just lots of shoes.
That's wonderful, and I think it's great that we can advertise for you. We have a vast listening audience here, but we can tell people that if they are looking for a place to donate there.
Yeah.
So it's not just running shoes? Is
No,
it
any shoes.
any kind of
yeah,
shoe?
all types of shoes. I've gotten boots, sneakers, cleats, all types of shoes. And yeah, and I'm gonna do it annually, so I'll be back next year around the same time.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations, and
Thank
you
you
make
so
us
much.
proud.
Mr. Ahern?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out a couple of things I would be really proud of. The way that you were observant of a need and showed empathy. And, not just sitting on that and thinking, but really taking action and leadership and entrepreneurship to create this opportunity for our community to come in. And I think what made it successful is just how personal it was to you. It really hit my heart, and I've seen on social media and around the neighborhood, people talking about it catching fire. So thank you. Thank you for
you.
leading, and continue to foster those qualities in yourself. It'll take you really far.
Further questions or comments from Mr. Bent? Ms. Sarah?
I just want to say it helped us clean out our closet. It was it was a reason to do it, right?
Yeah.
You always think, oh, I should get rid of these shoes. What should I do with them? Take them to Goodwill. But having something that how they're going to be used, and what the purpose is, and that there's somebody who as Sean said, has this great drive and has this great passion. It made us think about it. Not just, oh yeah, I should spring cleaning, but I think we probably took over a pretty big box as well. And so I think it was great to have that place, and to have, somebody so dedicated, and know that they would be put to good use. So again, thank you for
Thank
all
you.
your hard work.
Thanks so much.
Further questions or comments from Mr. Bent?
No, I think
Dr.
we
Bell?
can just, we have that YouTube,
Oh, excellent.
YouTube link, and Mary can get that out, and then,
Excellent.
just when, next year, just don't forget to, shoot us an email,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
that way we can make sure that we distribute it and get it out there.
Thank you.
Great cause.
Thank you so
Thank you very much. I'll be joined with your folks who are here with us tonight and saluting you and for what you've done with the community. It's, I think, as a sophomore here, we're excited to see what other great things you'll do in the future, and we congratulate your folks for having their house back at the end of the season as well. So, thank you very much for joining us. Moving on, we have our Walpole High School student report this evening. We're joined with our student representative, Representative Joy Martinez-Miralda. Joy, please take it away.
As we make our way back into the normal routine of school after having a restful and fun April vacation, there are many things planned for the students as we head into the last few weeks of school. As we make our way back, school sports are in full swing with all the teams having upcoming games in the next few days. Best of luck to them all, and congratulations to the past teams who have had recent victories. Along with sports, even more exciting news for the students' upperclassmen as we are heading towards a very exciting day for many. Prom, which is on May 14th, is being held for juniors and seniors, and not only will they be getting a dance, but the freshmen will also have a semi-formal, which is being held on June 10th. Speaking of fun for the seniors, yesterday the seniors got to enjoy being hypnotized while the students who attended watched in anticipation. As more fun events come, we can only hope that they enjoy their last few days here at Walpole High School. Getting back to the more educational side of school, with AP exams coming up for a lot of students, many are stressed as they prepare to make sure they do their best. So wish the best of luck to your fellow classmates, friends, and children as they head into these challenging few days. Walpole High School is always trying to give back, therefore students often organize events where they can help each other out. Students take full advantage of being able to help and donate, such as when NHS offered to sell pins in order to support the Ukrainian refugees and sold from a bake sale in order to raise money. Collectively, they were able to raise more than $1,600 that were then donated to two different funds, one being the Sunflower of Peace and the other which was RememberUs.org. Along with that, there is also currently a food drive that students are continuously donating to. Along with that, thanks to everyone who participated in either. As I finish this out, I want to talk a little bit about the Film Fest, which is coming up soon, where films directed and created by students and teachers at WHS will be presented on May 3rd and May 12th at the Red Carpet, where students, staff, and parents will be able to watch the films that have been worked on tremendously over the last few months. Thanks and have a good night.
Thank you very much, Representative. Questions or comments? Representative Mrs. Gallivan.
I just wanted to ask you, Joy, I know we've seen you here a number of times. You're not a senior, though, are you?
No, I'm a junior.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Just checking.
Very good. Anything further? How's it looking going into the final stretch? What's the
Pretty
vibe
good.
up there?
Very excited.
All good. Excellent work. Thank you very much for your report. We'll move on to the new business section of our agenda. We will call upon Coach David Wall to provide us with a health curriculum update. Coach Wall.
Mr. Chair, might I
Yes.
add, could you tell Joy that she doesn't need to stay?
You don't, oh, no, sir, please.
Boy, feel free to.
Feel free. It's too nice a day out. Can I go too, or? You guys can go too as well.
We won't be offended.
Sorry, Coach, we're gonna listen to you. It's fine. There you go.
Definitely.
Big shoes to follow. How we doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll just, I think you all have a copy of it, right, the presentation. Just give you a quick rundown of the kind of, the state of the union of the phys ed and health in our town. Starting with some highlights from each level, with the elementary, a couple things to touch on this year. We implemented as a staff, the 4 teachers, a couple district-wide goals to kind of get them all on the same page, with the main focus being the introduction of some international games. Thought it'd be a cool thing to kind of have a common goal and also a chance to kind of revamp and just throw something new into the curriculum. So they all had different ones that they chose, a couple of them being handball, curling. They used, two of the teachers used a Winter Olympics type theme with the curling and the skiing, and then the cricket is obviously a very widely popular international game. It kind of all ended 2 weeks ago with all four schools brought a group of 5th graders and did a school-wide handball tournament against each other, which was a cool event. They've done things like that in the past. It's kind of gone by the wayside the last 2 years for obvious reasons, but it was great to bring that back. we introduced the gymnastics unit to a couple of the schools, and the OPR jump rope team made a return, which, you know, both reasons being the past few years have been hectic. Those are kind of events that we weren't comfortable doing, so we kind of put them away. It was great to bring those back. The kids really loved that stuff. You know, overall, there's continuous work on developing the fine motor skills, gross motor skills, coordination, core strength, and, you know, the thing that I think is most important, teamwork and social skills, which I think is taught, you know, at every level, but I think PE has a pretty special place with elementary school kids to kind of to hone and master those skills. With the help of Mr. Fisher, we purchased new pickleball equipment for all 4 schools as kind of a bridge the gap type deal. It's this widely popular game at the high school. It's incredibly popular with our middle school students, so we figured might as well kind of introduce it, you know, a year or 2 earlier than normal. So in 4th and 5th graders, they all got a unit of that, which would make, you know, kind of transition into middle school one step easier. On the health side of things, I actually just sat in a lesson last week of the updated and revamped puberty lesson for our 5th graders. It was awesome. It was super engaging. It was well done. It's interactive through Peer Deck, so it allows for privacy, but it also allows for group work. Which, so, you know, for those of that not sure, Peer Deck allows you to put something on the screen, shoot a question. Students can answer it anonymously and privately, and it pops up, and it helps guide discussions, helps you know, further the presentation, and then at the end of it, all 3 classes per school, those questions will be combined, and then there'll be a follow-up unit, follow-up class to kind of fine point the things that maybe were missed or lost, or they felt like students needed a little bit more information on. Like I said, it was awesome. It was a lot of giggles, a lot of, you know, that type of stuff that you expect from 5th graders, but the presenters, the nurse, and the counselor did a fantastic job. It's something that I think is a sensitive issue or sensitive topic for some people, but it's something that needs to be taught, and the way it was presented was super, you know, level, rudimentary, very basic, but got the key points across for our students. I don't know if this thing's up.
Yep.
Working? Oh, wrong one. Threw a couple pictures on from the elementary teachers. A lot of our teachers, and we're lucky, are pretty interactive on social media. They all have Twitter accounts. They like to put out pictures to kind of show the things, and it's always fun to see pictures like that. You know, the kid jump rope on the bottom, or even just the middle picture is the group picture from the handball tournament, which is great to just kind of see kids. You know, I hate to be the 20,000 person to say it, but back to normal, especially in my world with the phys ed, like group work, smiling, being around each other, kind of taking that fear away from they've lived in the last 2 years. So that's exciting time for us. At the middle school level, you know, again, a little bit more return to normalcy. The middle schools are finishing up their 2nd round of their fitness testing. They do an initial testing in November with a lot of their year-long goals geared towards improving them. A lot of their warm-ups, their units geared towards improving those scores. And at initial data collection last week, I think about 90% is the number I got, had improved in at least one, if not all of their fitness scores, being the push-ups, sit-ups, flexibility, pacer testing, you know, things like that aren't new, but they're still super important. And the best part about it is the middle school teachers have developed Walpole core standards opposed to the traditional male-female presidential fitness testing. So they've spent some time working on that to develop, you know, their joint Walpole core standards, which allows them to work on the same page and work towards a goal. A little bit more of a comfort level for our students, and I think it's just a great idea going forward. We brought back our cross-country units, which ended with turkey trots, which is always a huge day, typically the day before Thanksgiving, with actually Johnson kind of going outside the box this year, and they took the 8th graders up to the high school to run their turkey trot, which was cool. We used it on the track. We had some of the Walpole High track students and a couple of our PE students that had a class that time go out, help coordinate, help time, kind of cheer them on. It ended up being, it was freezing. It was a cold day, but it ended up being a cool little thing. We were out there for about 45 minutes. You know, just one of those things that, you know, at the end of a unit, it's nice to kind of have that little reward, and the kids really loved it. I think it's something that hopefully will grow in the future, you know, combine both schools up at the high school and kind of make that work. At Johnson, we're piloting what's called a rail yard, which is basically a portable obstacle course. I'll show you a picture in a minute, but it was brought up by Joanna Madge, longtime teacher at JMS, and, you know, she's super creative, and it was an idea that I said, hey, let's give it a go. And it turned out to be awesome. When you see the picture, you'll see it's just one of those things that it's new, it's a little different. I was a little hesitant, maybe it's a little young for them, but rousing success from both teachers there. They said the kids loved it, so it's something that we're gonna hope to get into the other middle school, well, actually, we probably don't need to, hopefully with this new building, but at some point, and then hopefully trickle its way down to the elementary schools as well. We've had multiple after-school tournaments, which has been a long staple of the middle schools, basketball, volleyball being the main two that the kids love the most. You know, and like I said, big picture, there's just been a safe return to kind of cooperative games and more back to your basics with PE, which is great to get the kids out and moving. And you know, at the middle school level, having been there for 10 years, it's when you get a good group and you're doing something exciting, like there's nothing like it. The kids come down and they have a great time. So it's been nice to have that back. And again, they're always trying new things with the rail yard and the turkey trots, and they're not afraid to go outside the box and try to make something new work. With our health side of things, we're always adapting and continuing to try to improve and stay current. Okay, I mean, health is obviously one of those things that changes yearly, day to day, month to month, whatever you want to call it, but it's something that you can't just teach the same thing you were teaching 10 years ago. You really can't teach the same thing you were teaching 5 years ago. The topics remain the same, but the way it's approached and the way it's taught needs to be changed a little bit. So our two health teachers at the middle schools do an awesome job of staying up to date on the mental health, the nutrition, drug and alcohol awareness, healthy relationships, all the main things that 6th to 8th grade students really need to get taught. And probably the most exciting thing is, you know, there's been a lot of talk and collaboration and just brainstorming, big picture, you know, what the move's gonna look like when these programs are combined. And, you know, it's kind of thrust a little bit of energy back into the programs, and it's an exciting time, and we're trying to finalize what we need for equipment, what we got for equipment, what we can get rid of, all that good stuff, but, you know, thinking long term so that it's something that when it happens, it's a smooth transition. Moving on, I'll show you some pictures. The middle picture is one of our students, Grayson Beauregard, as I'm sure a lot of you know. I put that up there mainly because it's awesome, but also he shattered, and I mean shattered, the Johnson Middle School pull-up record. I forget the exact number. I was there, I should know, but it wasn't even close to anything I had in the 10 years, and it wasn't anything close at Barry Green, and he'll tell you his son Kevin had it, had 22 years ago, whatever the heck it was. So that was an awesome moment. The rail yard is the thing on the bottom right and the bottom left. It's kind of, it can be maneuvered in certain different ways, ramps, little jumps, you can change the heights and stuff. There's a million different activities you can do. It's like, you can almost like hit that, like that the new craze parkour that the kids like to do. So like I said, it was something that we weren't really totally sure of, and it was a home run, flat out home run. So it was great. Turkey trot on the top right, top left rather than the top right is just some of our health, one of the health presentations on famous people's mental health issues, I believe is the way it was described to me. Moving on to the high school, which being there now, I can speak to very, you know, in the moment. It's, you know, we're still touching on multiple team and individual sports, all the basics, basketball, pickleball, badminton, weight room, yoga, things of that nature. We've been trying to get as creative as possible with spacing restraints and large classes. So we've had to kind of think outside the box. And again, I'm lucky to have a staff up there that is not afraid to go outside the box, and they do have good thought processes. So one of the main things we've changed this year is it was with the units that everyone has to do, meaning we don't give them a choice during this time. So it's typically the basketball, the pickleball, the badminton, our racket sports, and volleyball. Because the way the gym's set up, we don't really have the space to offer 2 units at a time. But in order to best accommodate the space and the levels of ability, interest, want, we opted to go to a recreational and a competitive side of the gym, which allowed students to pick what they want to do. With the recreational being more geared towards a little bit more skill development, maybe a class or 2 more of skill development, small-sided games, and then eventually get into gameplay, whereas the competitive was a quicker paced, get through the skills, get to gameplay, get to a class tournament. And it was awesome. It totally changed the dynamics of our basketball unit, totally changed the dynamics of our racket sport units. It allowed a lot more comfort for the students, which, especially at the high school level, is number one to have a successful PE class. So that was an idea that Mr. Gary brought up at a staff meeting, for a department meeting rather, and we ran with it. Weren't afraid to give it a shot, and we stuck with it for 4 straight units because it worked so well. And I think if you ask any of the students, and I've had other teachers come up and speak on it, that kids were talking about, that they just felt a little more comfortable, and we noticed it in the participation level, we noticed it in the effort level, we noticed it in just the enjoyment level of our kids. So it's something going forward, especially having such tight quarters in the winter with 3 classes on. We could have 75 to 80 kids in the gym. We need to make some spacing work, and it's something that really helped alleviate that issue. We've also now moved into the spring where we do have more spacing, so we're going back to a choice model with our classes, which essentially it's if there's 2 teachers on, we'll offer 2 activities. If there's 3 teachers on, we'll offer 3 activities. Doesn't matter what class list you're on, you sign up, and that's the unit you get for the 2.5 weeks that we have. Like for instance, this week, this unit with our 3 section classes, we are offering disc golf, archery, and fitness walking. So it kind of touches on, you know, an individualized thing, an individualized fitness activity, and then a team sport aspect of it. So it's been a success. Again, it's not perfect because, you know, sometimes you still don't get a unit that you want. But with that said, having 3 options is better than having 1 for high school kids, and it gives them a little more ownership of what they're doing. Like, hey, you've picked it, now let's have some success with it. And that's a model that we'll stick with as long as we can, whenever the opportunity presents itself. And like I said, typically that's when we're outside, so the fall up to Thanksgiving and then the springtime, because it is a little bit harder in the winter when we're confined inside. We have finalized and super excited going forward into the fall. We are changing the way junior, senior PE will be offered. We're going to a choice model, meaning there will be 4 separate junior, senior PE classes that the students can choose. You'll have your traditional PE, you'll have your functional fitness and weightlifting, an everyday wellness course, and an outdoor pursuits course. So what that means is the student will pick which section they want. If they want traditional PE, they pick that. If they want to do a weight room class, they're going to pick that. If they want to do the everyday wellness, which is more yoga, biking, Pilates, health and nutrition, that kind of aspect of fitness and PE, they'll pick that, and that's where their class will be geared for the entire semester. So it's going to give another choice for students to kind of take ownership of their PE experience, which we think is important. You know, if you've got 25 kids that are dedicated to the weight room and really want to work on that, and they have a love for that, like, why not offer it to them, you know, and then have a chance to help them along with that. Or if you've got a group of kids that don't particularly care for the traditional aspect of team sports or individualized sports, but they really care about yoga and walking and hiking and Pilates and biking and fitness and nutrition, like, okay, let's meet those kids in the middle and let's give them that option as well. So we're pretty excited about that. The number, it's already in the program of studies. It's all approved, all ready to go. The number of sections will be predicated on student sign up. So we're out there kind of telling our classes, giving them a heads up. You know, I think word of mouth starting to travel. We've had multiple kids come up to us in the last week or 2 about it because they're starting to plan for their schedule next year. So it's something we're excited about. And on top of that, we're gonna implement roughly, the number right now is up for debate, but roughly about 25% of those junior, senior classes will have a classroom aspect to it geared towards health issues. The way our program's set up now, they get health predominantly in 9th grade, and that's the only time they get it, which is something that we've been thinking about changing for a little bit. And now with the staffing the way it is and the idea of making a change, we think now is the right time to do it. So we're trying to narrow down the curriculum and exactly the 4 or 5 most important aspects of junior, senior age kids, health related issues that we want to touch on. So, you know, again, the final details are yet to be described, but roughly if you're in the weight room for 2 weeks for your fitness, for your weight room class, the next week will be in a classroom setting, learning a unit of drug and alcohol, right? And then we'll go back to the weight room for 2 weeks. Then we'll be back in the classroom the 3rd week for healthy relationships, consent, things of that nature, right? So we're going to try to pinpoint and really do the work of the next month or 2 to finalize the 4 or 5 units that we think are vital to that age group kids, and then get those ready to go and give it a go in the fall. I don't anticipate it being perfect, but I do anticipate it being something that sticks, and I do anticipate it something that after one cycle, meaning one semester of doing it, I think we'll really have a grasp on it. I think by next spring, it's going to look exactly how we want it to look. I think we've got a good staff. I think we've got a good head start on it, and it's something that has been needed for a little bit, to no one's fault. It just wasn't possible for a few years. And now, again, with the staffing the way it is, with the extra person up there and you know, understanding that we're changing the way we do things anyway, it's the right time to make a change. And that's pretty much, you know, the state of the union, for PE and health. Like I said, I'm lucky I get to come up here and say all this cool stuff, but, you know, realistically, we've got a really good staff of people, K through 12, that are dedicated, and they're not afraid to think outside the box, and they're not afraid to make changes. They're not afraid to give something to go and say, oh, that didn't work, let's go back to the drawing board, which, in my world, I can't stress how important that is. It's an activity-based course. It's something that at the heart of it should be fun for our students, while getting across what we need to get across. But, you know, I'm still old school in the sense that PE is fun. We're gonna do our best to make it fun and make it enjoyable for our students. And I think that's the best way to get actually something out of it for our kids.
Well done, Coach. Thank you. Questions for Coach Wall, Ms. Gaelsitz?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I love the idea of offering students a choice for gym. I mean, I just found gym could be so intimidating when you were mixed in a big class, say playing volleyball, and you had like football players spiking it on you. I just remember being like, this is like way too intense for me. The idea of taking a yoga class, that would have been awesome. So I just think this is great. It it'll appeal to a lot of different students and get them excited about it. So I think it's great. Thank
Yeah,
you.
a lot of it was spearheaded by just the dynamics of high school students. You know, you can have a 250-pound kid and a 95-pound kid, and if they get paired up together in a basketball game, could be completely incidental or intentional, whatever. It can be intimidating, it can be dangerous, right? So a lot of it was spearheaded by dynamics of the class, and comfort level. And it's like I said, it's, you know, adults going to the gym, it's intimidating, right? Going to play a sport's intimidating. As long as you can try to calm that down and put kids in a comfortable position, that's where you're gonna have the most success in our world.
Thank you. Other questions? Mr. Ahern?
Yeah, I also want to echo the different choices in the gym, especially the levels. I know my student has really appreciated that this year, just being a freshman.
Yep.
You know, that's crazy in itself, trying to figure things out. But the 2 levels is great, and I think there was even some like encouragement from the teacher if students were maybe in the more calm area, but
Yep.
Really showed some skills to push them
Yeah.
up and encourage them, which I found to be excellent.
Appreciate that. That's good to hear.
I love the health in junior and senior year as well, and that kind of leads to the question I had, is I was wondering if there had been or there's plans on kind of intertwining those 2 things more. Because one of the things I found through the presentation was there's awesome things happening in health and PE, but like the ability to interconnect them and develop like a whole wellness attitude for our students, I think is really important. So it sounds like as you move into like junior and senior, that's a thing, but even the younger grades on up and wheeling, you mentioned like the social skills in the teamwork and elementary, like all of that coming together.
Yeah, that's so that's kind of the idea behind it, and selfishly, it serves a purpose in terms of staffing as well, because it's going to allow the teachers to be doing something like I'll be in a weight room class, and I'll enjoy that because it's something that's a passion of mine. I enjoy working with students in the weight room and getting them stronger. Whereas like now also I can take our health teacher who's only taught health, but is a certified spin instructor, certified yoga instructor, certified every fitness thing you can imagine on earth. She can now go teach the wellness course, the health everyday wellness course for 11th, 12th graders. So instead of just having students in 9th grade, now she has students in potentially 9th, 11th, and 12th grade. So better implements our staff, and then with that is just, we have to have an overlap, we have to have a continuing flow, and it's something that we're looking at, and we're doing our best to kind of blend the 2 while still keeping the principles of both the best we can. And if it's something that takes off in 11th and 12th grade, then it's something that we'll look at in 9th and 10th grade as well.
Ms. Inizio?
Thank you for the presentation. I just have a couple of questions. Can you educate me a little bit about what the PE and health classes look like at the middle school level? How often are the students?
So there's a 7-day cycle at the middle school, and they get it 3 times a cycle for the year. Correct, yep. And health would be 3 times a cycle for half the year, which is usually paired with another half-year course.
So health is a semester long?
Correct.
And PE is a year. Okay. And then my other question has to do with the elementary level. So if I'm correct, the puberty unit in 5th grade is sort of the primary health
Yep.
curriculum. But now that we have our, now that we have a robust elementary school counseling program and we
Yep.
have the counselors teaching SEL as a special. I'm wondering if there has been, or you might envision there being some collaboration or integration of what they're doing at the elementary level with the middle school.
Yeah, I think that's a fair question. I think it's one of those things that there's only X amount of time in elementary schedule for specials anyway. So that makes it a little bit more difficult, but certainly the idea of some type of trickle down into more the initial health aspects that they'll learn in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade is important. They do touch on nutrition. They do touch on the basics. Some of it's through the nurse, some of it's through the PE department. Could there be more? Probably, if we're being honest. But it's something that we'll look at and move forward, hopefully, and continue to grow. It's one of those things that health is, I think when I got into this 13 years ago, it was, I didn't teach a health class. I taught one health class my first year out of college, and now it's way more important than it ever was. Bless you. I think it's something that's at the forefront of everything nowadays, and I think the more the better. You just have to make sure you're approaching it the correct way, age appropriate, and things like that.
For sure, and I think, certainly I'm not necessarily advocating that we devote more time to it necessarily, but just maybe consider how we're coordinating or how we're, maybe some things that the counseling staff are doing in the elementary level are things that could be expanded upon in the middle school level, or some,
Yeah,
conversely,
I agree.
things that they're doing in the middle school, our elementary counselors might be able to lay some groundwork for in some age-appropriate ways.
Yeah, and I know they collaborate and they talk as well, so I'm not exactly sure how much the transition is, but it's definitely something worth looking at. I can't give you a steadfast answer right now, if we're being honest, but I don't disagree with what you're saying.
Further questions, Mrs. Gallivan?
Just a couple. First of all, I think this is great because I think it's really responsive to some of the things that we've talked about over the last couple of years. I love the idea of giving kids choice and some of the things that my colleagues have pointed out already. I guess just two small points. One, on Sean's comment about wellness. In some ways, you're developing a wellness department.
Correct.
So I think that that's awesome. And along the lines of what Carrie's saying is, there probably is a role for some of the elementary counselors to be part of a wellness program in the end, even if it's, the helping kids interact more positively when they're playing on the playground. It's those kinds of things that sometimes we didn't have a person who could help them, so that there's not somebody who's left out and doesn't have anybody to play with. Organize a couple of games, I don't know. But, I think you've done a lot to be really responsive to things that we have brought up, or the community has brought up, or students have. So it's great, and thanks for being here.
Further questions or comments? Dr. Goff and
Just
then myself.
quickly, so I don't try not to repeat, but thanks, Dave. It's like, it's a lot of positive changes, since you've been, at this position and up at the high school. But, really, like I just comment, putting students first, really, like you said, the teachers thinking outside the box to do something, and listening to the students, of being able, like Jen said, give them choice. But even like the mental health activity, making connections and letting them have that place. And, we all know that, choice leads to student engagement and obviously, increases students that take these positive risks and then also for student achievement. But, yeah, really, really well done. And also, on a side note, nice job with the basketball team.
thank
It was
you.
an exciting playoff game, so we can't wait
It
until next
was.
year.
Those kids have a lot to be proud of.
Absolutely great.
I'm proud to coach them,
Yeah,
so I appreciate
They held their
that.
heads high. It was, I know it was a tough loss, but they played their hearts out.
Yeah, I'm over it.
You're a liar.
Well, thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
We appreciate the energy you bring and the commitment you bring to our district, not only as an educator, but
I'm lucky
as
to
a
be here.
coach.
It's athletically and teaching wise, it's, for what I do, it's a good town to be in.
Just two quick things. I've said this to all of your colleagues who are department heads, and you sort of touched upon it. This new middle school is a great opportunity for you and your colleagues in your department to really, once in a generation, think about how you're organized, what you're trying to do.
I hope
It sounds
Mike's
like
ready to open up the wallet.
Exactly. And so I think it's good that you're already beginning those discussions. And secondly, just want to point out and confirm, because I think I know this, but I know you know this. You did mention that elementary school curriculum, and the change you're doing there. Overarchingly, the state is about to, or in the process
Allegedly,
of?
the
Yeah,
health.
just touch on that just
the
real
he-
quick.
The
'cause
new
it's
health
important.
standards,
Yeah,
all the way from 1999, so they're super new. The new ones should be out hopefully in August, September, from last I read. To let you know, they also said the new ones were gonna be out last summer, I
last year,
believe.
I know.
But yeah, the actual state standards for health and PE have not been updated since 1999. I was 12.
Right.
So we're hoping to get new ones, and then that will just help gear things
No,
even further.
I think that's just an important point to underscore that, this is, just like all of our other subjects, we have curriculum frameworks that come from the Commonwealth, and obviously, when that happens, whenever that happens, we're gonna want, because you did so well tonight,
Yep.
we're gonna want you to come back, with Dr. Hahn to kind of unpack some of those things
Yeah,
as you
no
get it
problem.
underway. But, again, thank you so much for your time this
Appreciate the
evening.
time,
and
guys.
Take care.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, we have new business. We're going into the FY '23 budget vote of the comprehensive budget sheet. You have that enclosed in your packet, just for the vast listening audience, for their edification at home. This is the culmination of a process we began in, I think, November this year, of working together with our counterparts on the town side, with the finance committee, with town administration, the tireless work of Dr. Goff and her budget team, Mr. Frisha, and our colleagues here to create the FY '23 budget for the school year. We already voted upon this, as the town charter requires, at the end of January, but generally speaking, the committee will vote on a number before town meeting. Town meeting's on a Saturday this year. I'm not a morning person, did really want to have a really early morning pre-town meeting vote, so that is why it is here before you. Mr. Fisher, a few words on the budget.
I think it's a very generous budget. We've been able to fund 12 and a half new positions. Budgeting in general the last few years has been very challenging with COVID. It started out where we didn't know how we were going to budget for run a school department, and then it ended with, we've got a lot of money available to do some wonderful things, but we had to put a lot of thought into it. So it was time consuming but purposeful in the way that we did it. So we've been able to, like one-to-one for all of our students with Chromebooks, and really take advantage of buying some technology that would not have been within our means over the last few years. So a pandemic brought opportunity, if that makes sense, and we took advantage of it, and we continue to. So I feel very good about this budget, to answer your question, Mr. Buckley.
Excellent. Very good. Questions or comments from the committee on the budget? Mrs. Gallivan?
I would just add that I think this is something that helps make up for the past 2 years also. I think that both Mr. Frisha and Dr. Goff and the whole administrative team was very careful and conservative about spending because of all the uncertainties. And, I think that it's wonderful to be able to think about what we can do as we come out of a couple of rough years, and hopefully that's what this is the start of. So a lot of good work in here, and if nobody else wants to, I'd be glad to make a motion to approve the budget of $51,394,654.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Gallivan, second by Ms. Syrek. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 700. Excellent. Moving on, we have two yearly procedural matters. The first is a designation of the superintendent to serve as a voting member of the Bi-County Collaborative, known as BICO, Board of Directors for the FY22, FY23 year. The BICO Collaborative, along with the Tech Collaborative, are two organizations that are made up of member communities that purchase goods together, that work to do specialized services for students collaboratively together. And Dr. Goff wants to continue to do that on top of everything else she does. So, any thoughts on that?
Nope, I'd be happy to serve on the board.
Excellent. Questions or comments from BICO? Ms. Denise.
I'll make a motion to appoint Dr. Bridget Goff to serve as representative on the BICO Board of Directors for the 2022-23 school year.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Denizio, second by Ms. Syrek. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 600. Congratulations or condolences, you can take your pick. Moving on, likewise, we have the designation of a school committee member to serve as voting member on the Education Collaborative, known as TEC, Board of Directors for the FY '22, FY '23 school year. Not it. We have a vote. We have a vote to reappoint Mrs. Nancy Gallivan to serve as a representative on the TEC Board of Directors for the FY '22, FY '23 year. Take a, Ms. Zyrick. I'm sorry, Ms. Denizio. I looked at your name
Not
tag.
even wearing my glasses
I
today.
know, right?
It's horrible.
I will make a motion to vote to reappoint Nancy Gallivan to serve as representative on the Tech Board of Directors for the 2022-23 school year.
Motion by Ms. Denizio, second by Ms. Gaotitz. All those in favor, opposed, abstained, 6-0-0. I think we're very grateful for both of our colleagues here in government who are serving on this, but it's important to note that Mrs. Gallivan has been on TEC for a long time and has basically she's been the chair for a number of years as well, but as we look around our community, there are TEC programs here in East Walpole, up at the high school, and it's really wonderful in other parts of our buildings. It's really wonderful that this organization, much like BICO, which is just a conglomeration of local communities, that we have a lot of programs that are here in town, which allows for our students to stay in town to be educated, and that, in Chair's view, is no mean feat, and by your work, Nancy, I think there's direct correlations from the work you've done to the reason that Plimpton houses the program it does, and the reason programs are housed in East Walpole. So, just as a point of personal privilege, I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you.
I even think, the professional development
It's huge.
that they offer is, both BICO and TEC, and then also, I always go back to the TEC legislative breakfast, which is really huge and helpful for us.
Can I just add two things?
Please do.
First of all, this year, we've been all virtual, so if anybody else wants to join a meeting, then you're welcome to do it. The last one of the year is next Friday. The bad part is, the meetings are Friday mornings from 8:15 until 9:30. So, I was given this job without volunteering when I first got on the committee, but I've loved it. It's really, really good education. For people that don't realize, a lot of our extremely needy special ed students are served in these classrooms. But as Dr. Goff was saying, it's way more than that. There's a cooperative purchasing ability that we have. We get free online classes through TEC. The professional development is awesome. They developed the Data Privacy Alliance, which has saved an awful lot of legal time and money that we would have been spending otherwise. So it's a really smart alliance. And I did just get the yearly annual report, or I think that's what it's called, that I can share with you guys electronically, because it's something that most people don't know about. But I am glad to be on it, but I'd also be glad to have people be there too, because it's very open, and it's been a great place to meet good people and to learn. I learned a ton from being there.
The TEC Legislative Breakfast often has really wonderful site tours as well over in East Walpole, which I think are, if you haven't been able to go, is well worth the time. Thank you, Mrs. Gallivan. Moving on, we have the Superintendent Evaluation Timeline. As a kind of point of departure, the school committee statute in Chapter 70 gives us 3 jobs. We create the budget, which we just voted upon. We evaluate the superintendent, which we're about to talk about in a moment, and we dictate school policy. So this is one of the core functions of us as a school committee. We do it every single year. It's always in the springtime. It begins as a process of goal setting with Dr. Goff, which we undertook in June of last year. And so this becomes the sort of summative work of that. On, what was it, Tuesday, Ms. Denizio, Mrs. Gallivan, and I, who make up the Superintendent Evaluation Committee, met to kind of go over process and look at the rubrics we will be using. The rubric is a standardized wonderful rigid DESI document. And what we have done is Dr. Goff has highlighted standard areas within it, which we will be examining. So the next part of this process, tomorrow morning, I will send out the document here that is a draft indicator rubric for your own edification, as well as this standard document, which has the standards we will be using, which Mrs. Gallagher and Mr. Nito and I agreed to be the ones that we would hone in on, because this document is 12 pages long, and we want to make sure that we are laser focused on the areas that Dr. Goff set out to address at the beginning of this year. So we will send that out to you along with a brief narrative tomorrow morning. Dr. Goff will provide the school committee with a self-evaluation on May the 3rd. The school committee will provide their individual superintendent evaluations to myself on May the 13th, 2022. Just being cognizant, I think that's a Monday, so then we will, as a subcommittee, put together that narrative and examine it, meet one more time, and then in public session, we will present the summative evaluation on May the 26th, 2022. We had a really great 2.5-hour discussion with you a couple days ago. Any report back on that from my colleagues on the subcommittee, or just general thoughts? Ms. Nito?
Just to add, in addition to the DESI rubric that you mentioned, so DESI has set some standards against which, we're measuring our superintendents, but alongside that, Dr. Goff is also responsible for creating her own goals for performance for the year, and she's set some very ambitious goals, and they're very comprehensive and wide-ranging, and I think that's important to note. We're looking at a lot of aspects of the superintendent role, and the effect of Dr. Goff's leadership on our building level administrators, our teachers, and our students. And I am looking forward to receiving Dr. Goff's report. I think there's going to be, I know it's going to be a comprehensive document, because that's how Dr. Goff does things. And I think it'll lead to a really fruitful discussion.
Is that Mrs. Galvin?
Yeah, I would just add that, we have met regularly, and as a committee, her goals are the goals that we encouraged her to do. So it's not that, that we were very involved in that process. And I think that it's challenging to do this work, because a certain amount of it has to be what she can report to us about. And if people have questions, or if there's a piece that doesn't feel like it's thorough enough, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and have a conversation, because that's what should happen. It shouldn't show up as anything that is sort of, it shouldn't show up as something that was not done properly if you have a question. So, and what this will also lead to is the next set of goals, because as we start looking at things, if we didn't prioritize something for this year, we may want to say, you know what, this feels like it should be a priority for me. And if the 7 of us agree on that, then it becomes a goal for next year. But we want to, we want to do this in a fair way, just as every good evaluation should be done.
Well said. Anything further? It might just be good to point out that you have 6 areas, and many of your colleagues had 4, so ever the overachiever.
It's a type A.
Yeah,
right?
type A personality. Excellent.
And we should just reiterate, you want them back by Monday, May
yes.
13th.
I was
Correct.
gonna say something snarky, but I wasn't. So yeah, 13th, that's the
You'll get yours
time.
on the 3rd.
I wrote all my papers last minute. I'd rather not do this one, so,
Yeah.
that'll be good. Flowing into that, superintendent's report.
I know, it's been 4 school days since we last met. Just a brief COVID update. Prior to the break, we had 32 cases for the week of 4/10 to 4/16. There was no reporting over the April break, so the next update will be this weekend. But right now, we're at about 28 positive cases. The town's positivity rate is 6.8%. I had mentioned that we were gonna do vaccination rates probably monthly instead because they've leveled off. Just if you want a quick overview, Walpole High School's at about 84.5%. Byrd is at 70.5%. Johnson's just about at 72%. Boyden 55%. Fisher at 69.5%, and OPR at just about 66%. So they've all gone up. In terms of our leadership council, we're pretty busy looking at our end of the year events. We're busy with transition activities, middle school and high school course selection, summer programming, getting that, getting that ready. Next month is, in May, as you know, is exam month. We have at the elementary and middle schools the MCAS math, and then in grades 5 and 8 are our science, technology, and engineering. And then, as Joy mentioned, the next 2 weeks, high school has their AP exams. In terms of senior events, I gave you the senior packet that was sent to families and students. I thought it would be helpful for you because on page 5, that denotes all of the senior calendar of events. So that way, if there's something that you would like to attend, you have it all right at your fingertips. So I thought that was helpful for me to keep me sane and figure out where to go, right? Where to go next. We met with Mass Insight this week, and in terms of finalizing the surveys and focus group interviews and school visits. And I think they just emailed me about a couple hours ago, so I'll work with Mary, and either tomorrow or Monday, the latest, we'll get those surveys out to our families and the community as well. This Saturday, we have a recruitment fair, and I think you have a handout in there at Milton High School. And that's going to be Saturday from 9 to 12, and that's sponsored by MPDE. That's the Massachusetts Partnership for Diversity in Education. Walpole is one of 40 school districts taking part in this recruitment fair. It's also led by our Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Hahn, and then Jasenia Castro, who's our, as you know, is our METCO Program and DEI Director. Lori Sylvia, our Human Resource Coordinator, will also be there as well. So we've got a nice team. We actually have, flyer, we've got some swag going, so we think Walpole's going to be well represented this year. And speaking of Dr. Hahn, the reason he's not here is he's actually at Boston College tonight speaking to new grad or soon-to-be new graduate students to do some job recruitment there. So we're really working hard at this because, we want the best, and we need to make sure that, we do our due diligence to go out and get the best. In terms of next week, Tuesday, we have, on Tuesday, not next week, but the week after, Tuesday, May 10th, we have an L family night, and that's gonna be at Byrd Middle School. Because we're telling where the future middle school is going to be, and that's gonna be from 5 to 7. So families will be able to say hello to their to all the L teachers, learn more about the LPAC, sign up for Walpole Rec activities for the summer, find out more information about adult ESL classes. That's gonna get started again, and we'll have the Walpole Public Library there so people can get a library card. Reminder that the District Art Show is May 11th, 6 to 8 at the Walpole Public Library. Just for me, personally, tomorrow morning I'll be going to the high school. I'm going to meet with some students from the TV production class. That's always fun to get interviewed by them. And then next week I have scheduled visits at Daniel Feeney, Elm, Old Post Road, Boyden, and Byrd Middle School. So lots of school visits next week. And also next week, the film festival is Tuesday evening, followed by the middle school building project forum Wednesday evening. Title I Family Night is on Thursday evening. That's at Boyden at 6 o'clock. And we rounded off, as you mentioned, Mr. Buckley, with town meeting on Saturday. So fasten your seatbelts. Busy, but an engaging week.
Questions for Dr. Goff? Ms. Venezia?
Title I meeting is this Thursday or next Thursday?
No, it'll be
The 12th?
next. Yes, yeah. Did I give the wrong date for that one?
All of May is a meeting right now.
Yes, I
so-
know.
This is a lot.
We'll get it up there, but that's important. It'll be nice because that'll be the math and reading on that night, so that's always a fun night.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, moving on, we have old business, Chairman Breen, the middle school building project. Any updates?
Yes, as Dr. Goff just mentioned, next Wednesday, the 4th, is the open house, not the open house, the community forum, thank you. I would encourage people on the website to go to the school website. You could register for it through Zoom. You'll get an introduction to the general contractor. We've hired Fontaine. We'll get a look at what the building looks like. There have been some changes recently. And a look at what the construction site is gonna look like this summer. I think those are kind of the big three topics. Meet the new developer, see what the building looks like, some changes, and what's the site gonna look like this summer.
So I think we'll get that out again in the school committee, maybe Monday, Mary, we can send out another email reminder.
Anything else on middle school? Moving on to high school, we're keeping this on our agenda every week now going forward. Just, we had a sort of robust discussion about where we are. We're beginning the visioning process for a targeted renovation at the high school focused on STEM. And Mr. Ahern is kind enough to be kind of part of that for us. I did look with interest, the select board was discussing ARPA and priorities as well. I know it's just important to report out to the committee. Mr. Fisher has been working closely with the building maintenance department at the town side to look at if there are parts of the high school renovation project that could fall under ARPA and be done now ahead of time, so it would free up some space for within the limited budget we have for this endeavor. So that's something which we may be coming back to you with at the next meeting to formalize as the town sort of looks to make its arrangements. All of the money that the town received directly is eligible for a blanket revenue replacement calculation, which basically means it doesn't have to be allocated for sewer and water or broadband or under a category. So it may, as Mike continues to do research and work closely with Donnie and Stephen at the high school, it may be the case that this body should consider at our next meeting or a future meeting, taking a formative vote on our request to the select board, as obviously other departments in town also have requests, and it's a hierarchy of need, but I think there is strong need at the high school, and we've, as a body, been committed to that for some time, so. As Mrs. Gallivan would say, stay tuned. Mrs. Gallivan.
That just reminded me, though, I remember hearing that the select board was going to be meeting sometime relatively soon to hear from each of the departments. So
Yeah.
we should find out when they are putting people together and make sure that we're there.
No, understood, absolutely. Anything further on this? Moving on, subcommittee activity, we had a nice report of the superintendent evaluation subcommittee. As far as legislative subcommittee goes, it's important to note that our 4 state representatives, Rep. Rogers, Phillips, McMurtry, and Dooley, did get $800,000 of prison mitigation one last time into the budget, which generally flows into the capital process for the town, which also directly helps address some of our capital needs. So the House budget goes on to the Senate now, which will be taken up the week before Memorial Day, so we'll chase Senator Feeney as well, but that's again, probably one of the last years with the president in town we'll be able to achieve that, but it's a very kind of important thing as we do our capital planning and look towards the fall. That's very good news. Any other subcommittees meet? Ms. Denizio?
I just want to share that the Master Plan Steering Committee is in the midst of conducting the second round of community forums. There was an in-person forum at the high school last evening, but there is also a remote option this Sunday afternoon from 3:30 to 5. I believe that Mrs. Martelli has that information and hopefully can share it out. But what's happening now is, based on the community feedback that was received initially, the consulting group and the committee have developed a set of goals for the next iteration of the master plan in all of the focus areas: economic development, land use, housing, climate change, natural resources, cultural resources, community health, open space and recreation. And so now we're looking for community feedback on those goals, what people think of them, what ideas people have for how we can reach them, what might be some barriers that we need to consider when looking how to reach them. So it's really a critical time to get as much input as we possibly can. So I just want to encourage anyone who's available this Sunday, May 1st, to join in the remote forum if they can.
So, Ms. Galvin.
Where would we get the list or the information about those goals that you just ticked off?
The goals themselves will be presented at the beginning of the forum. I was speaking with Pat DeShane about getting a flyer that lists all of them, and so I can follow up.
That would be helpful to me.
Yeah.
Second that.
Okay.
Anything else? We have a couple of curriculum subcommittees coming up. Couple of weeks. Seeing nothing else, seeing no citizens comments. Approval of warrants, donations, and minutes, Mr. Ahern.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the following expense warrants for the amounts listed in your packet. They are 222042, 222043.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Ahern, second by Ms. Denicio. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 700.
That will be all. We are not paying people this week.
Nicely done. Moving on, gift donation approval.
I will make a motion to approve the following gifts and donations: to Johnson Middle School from the Walpole Cultural Council for a mobile digital creation studio, the amount of $1,500. And to Johnson Middle School Artsonia Commission in the amount of $225.56.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Denicio, second by Ms. Syrick. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 700. Ms. Syrick.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the following school committee meeting minutes from April 14th, the regular school committee meeting minutes, and April 14th, the executive session meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Syrick, second by Mr. Breen. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 700. There is a very brief need for executive session for the purpose of non-union and union negotiation strategies, the chair having declared that need pursuant to purpose 3 of the open meeting law. Chair will entertain a motion to go into executive session, returning only to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Breen, second by Ms. Gaotitz. All those in favor? Opposed, abstained, 700. Thank you very much.
You have to poll us.
I will poll you as well.